Hey there, friends. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Mask. I am your host, Sarah Joy, your friendly neighborhood interrogator turned clone, helping you get to know who the person is behind the screen name. Tonight, we're chatting with Kyle. You may know him from Tavern Tales and Flight Risk. Kyle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I am Kyle.
Hi.
About 6-ish plus years ago, I decided I was going to start podcasting and decided that the best way to do that is release content every single week without fail.
You made
But
choices.
that's a choice in life. So yeah, I guess I'm a podcaster by hobby, as well as a disc golfer and improviser, community theater actor. I wear a lot of hats and I do a lot of things.
Nice.
Thanks for
So
having
how
me.
does Like what? Oh, yeah, you're welcome for having you. Thanks for coming on here. I'm really excited. Kyle and I got to know each other for the first time doing a table read for Tubular Teens with Titans.
That's right.
Yes, and it was super fun. And Kyle is an incredibly talented voice actor.
Oh,
So,
well, thank you.
yeah, yeah. Maybe my favorite one right now. There you go. How about that?
Oh, wow. That's high praise. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
good voice actors out there.
There are, and I listen to Critical Role, so high standards.
Yeah. My wife
Well,
is busily
awesome.
trying to get me to put out my demo reel and hang a shingle to become a professional voice actor, but I keep resisting it because I never think that I'm going to make enough money as to what I make doing my day job. So I'm like, if I do it for free and don't get paid ever, then I can continue to have fun doing it. And she's like, yeah, but you hate your day job. So yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I do have a day job that pays me money, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna do all of the things I love on the side so I can still love them.
Right? Yeah. Because I
That
don't want
circle
to
is
end up
real.
hating the thing that I do love, but I am getting closer and closer and closer to saying, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go and get my audio engineering certificate or master's and delve into it more thoroughly and deeply because I just find myself gravitating to it whenever I'm doing anything. So,
Oh my God, that's amazing. I like that so much. Okay, yeah, great voice. Kay White's is great voice. I agree. Okay, I am curious, how does the mundane world view you?
you don't. I let's move on pen from that. I love that question. Sure, I'm a dad and a husband and a desk jockey and I answer emails. I was telling my boss the other day that I didn't think that graduating from the University of Calgary 20 plus years ago, that
Yeah.
my with a degree in English, that I would be using that to write 150 word emails every single day.
Yep.
And she's like, yeah, no, I did not think I was going to end up doing that too. So my job is really hard to explain. It's in a niche industry, and I've been
Oh,
doing it
nice.
for 16 years. And so I'm very good at my job. Um, but my job is hard to explain to. And it's not like I'm a police officer. Like, it's not like I'm a baker. Like, I can't describe my job in less than like 120 words. It takes 2 emails from me to describe my job.
I like that your job has something to do with 100 and did you say 150 words?
No, 50 word emails 100
50.
times a day.
Oh my God.
And it's all different. Like I'm responding to clients. I'm basically in the financial industry and I work um, with publicly. Oh, you caught me. I don't want to describe my job. It's really boring and I
Don't.
don't like it so much. Let's move on to other fun topics
Oh
that are
my God.
much more engaging and interesting. Although everyone in the comments are going to be like, now I want to know what he does.
What do you do? Oh my God, what do you? He must be works for the whatever Canadian equivalent for the CIA is.
No, I don't. I work for a stock transfer agency as a relationship manager, and
Oh
even
yeah,
that doesn't
okay.
make any sense, does it? Like, those are all words.
It
I know
does.
each of those words.
I work in the tech industry now, so I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So we just answer emails from people all the time asking
Yeah.
questions that were like, you really could have Googled this.
When I was in university, I worked as a waiter, and I feel like my job nowadays is just I deliver information to people who sit down at the table, and then I go to the kitchen and I get the information and I bring it to them. I don't. I that's slow. I'm just a gopher restaurant waiter in the financial industry. So,
I love that. I
yeah.
love that. That's the best. You know what? How many of our jobs could be summed up by that, though? That's why we do
Right?
other cool
Yeah.
things.
So
It's
many
delightful.
cool things. So
Right.
many.
So I'm super curious. My first question, I'm going to stick on script for this one. Do you game?
So you ask that question a lot, and I
I
love
do.
that it's so general
Hmm.
because then it digs into it. And so the simple answer is yes.
I like it. I like it.
I TTRPG. I have
Mhm.
probably 200-ish TTRPG books, PDFs and physical copies of different systems, and I'm been doing TTRPGs since 1994, so pretty coming up on 30 years. Um, and then I also play a lot of board games. Um, I wrote the list down. It's 172 board games. I've been trying to work through it with the kids and my wife. Be like, pick a board game every week and we'll try to get through this. It'll take 3 years, but we can do it. And
Right.
they're like,
Family
no,
bonding.
it's like family time. Who wants to throw dice at someone at the end of the night? Yeah,
Sounds fun.
I know. Because board games are the best, especially in the early 2000s. North America was introduced to European style board games, which, everybody played until the end. And a lot of the times you didn't necessarily know who was going to win until the points were counted up. And
Uh-huh.
I mean, probably much like you and a lot of the other listeners, growing up was not, it was North American style board games where, okay, now you're out, you go sit over there for the next 3 hours while the other people who were still good at the game continue to play it. Um,
Right.
like Monopoly. And
It, we only
unless
had
you're a
like
cheating
4 or 5
banker,
games.
you don't get to. Oh, I know.
Yeah. I
Oh,
know.
I
I
know.
know.
You
That's one of
never.
those stabs. I got it. I got it.
Yeah. So, and my Monopoly figure is the dog, just the Scotty dog.
Oh
So
man, that is also my Monopoly figure. So
I
we'll fight
know.
over that. Yep. I
We
love the
won't,
dog.
because I have my own Monopoly dog with a little black line drawn along his back that I keep in my cufflinks box in case I ever happen to go to a house and I'm planning on playing Monopoly, which is a 0% chance of happening. But should that happen, two people can
Yep.
play the dog because I'll have brought my own.
Oh, well, you know what? I think that's very smart. That's very smart. I
Yeah.
instead will fight to the death over the dog.
I'm like, it's the only one that can move.
Yes. It's the only, well, the car.
Right. You're right. Yes, the car.
Yeah, yeah. But the hat, no, don't understand that. The thimble,
The
why?
iron, I don't get the iron.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me.
I feel like
But
that's
that
like an
game
industrial
in
thing. Yeah.
general makes 0 sense to me. Um,
Oh, it makes a ton of sense to me. You lie and
really,
cheat
I
and
know how
steal
much you like.
properties.
Well, you see, that's the only way you can properly do capitalism is
That's
if
right.
you've already rigged the system to begin with. And I just don't think that Monopoly has taught enough people that lesson because, like, one person at the table is the banker. It's not like the banker is some figure sitting off on the side and you all end up poor and penniless renting houses at the end of the game, wondering what happened. But I mean, that's literally life. So,
Oh my God. It did, and it depends on who your siblings were and who you played with growing up, as to what lesson you did take away from that. I took away the lesson that you should buy lots of property and always hoard your money. But
I think you took away the lesson is that you
yeah.
need to cheat in order to get
Yes.
ahead.
Yes.
It doesn't matter
Absolutely.
the structure of the rules. You have to break the rules and be beyond the system's constraints in order to do well in Monopoly.
Right. Or
So,
recognize that the rules that are there are not the actual rules.
yeah,
So I like it. We're getting deep and philosophical already. We're not very
already.
far in. I love it.
And I do play a lot of video games. I just finished downloading Jedi Survivor just before we came on here today.
Yeah, I've
So
been hearing about that. Okay, okay, okay. What's the last game you played to completion?
I just finished Cyberpunk 2077. I'd
Nice.
almost finished it, and then I paused for probably about a year, and then because I had already sunk probably 170 hours into the
Oh
game,
yeah.
trying to finish everything, and then came back and went through all five different endings, and consider that game now to be, put back on the shelf. I've finished it. There's not much else that I can really get out of that game.
That's awesome. Nice. Yeah, I too am a completionist, so I feel that a lot.
And I don't
Why I
like open world games because I'm like, how do I get everything? That's why I've not played Zelda Breath of the Wild because I'm like, no, I don't. That's gonna be dangerous for me.
Oh, I'm 50 hours in and I only have like four hearts and I've only uncovered like this little section of the map. So
Yeah.
yes. Yes, I
Are you
understand
still
this.
bitter cold? Like, how do I get out of here?
Yes.
Yeah.
I keep dying with the cold and I can't understand it.
You
Yeah.
gotta get warm.
Gotta get warm. I got my
Yeah.
warm doublet, but that's about it. Yeah. No, but it's good though, right? Because I don't know. I feel like it gives me the full satisfaction of the game. Like I feel like I'm really experiencing it how the creators wanted me to experience it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Instead of rushing through to the end. There is no right way, but it's way better to savor it. So, what got you gaming?
Um, TTRPG gaming, I'm gonna guess, right? Like we want to
I
stick to the
I made it
topic.
super broad intentionally. This is just to get to know you for everyone who's here in our wonderful world.
Yeah, no. I think the story of how I got gaming is better than like role playing than any of the others, and it
Okay.
was grade 10. I had finally made this huge group of friends. There was about 12 of us in total. It was this gigantic group,
Yeah.
and they all became friends in grade 10 with each other because they'd all had a shared love of tabletop role playing games. But I had known a couple of them from junior high, and one was in one of my English classes in high school. And so when we sat down for lunch, everybody was talking about gaming. And what was really funny is that the 12 guys were not only friends because they liked TTRPGs, but also because they all of them had a mutual hatred for Dungeons and Dragons. They all liked games that weren't Dungeons and Dragons. And I didn't know a thing about any of this. So it was an evening in September. I went over to the friend's house and I made a character in Rifts, which you just finished talking to, I believe, Ben about that, right?
I
Um,
did, yeah.
I made a character in Rifts for this game, and it was a baby dragon, and I got to play a baby dragon with my friends for a little while, and um, that group of 12, unfortunately, that is too big a group for a tabletop role-playing game.
Yep.
And I was a referee in hockey at that time as my job. As a 14-year-old, that was my job, to go referee the 8-year-olds. And so one weekend,
That's awesome.
everybody was over at one friend's house except for me because I had to referee a tournament. And when I came to school on Monday, 5 of them were on one side and 6 of them were on the other, and they refused to talk to each other ever again. There was this massive
Oh
fight that
my
had happened while I wasn't there. And that was pretty late on in grade 10. So that summer and grade 11 was a pretty amazing year for me because I had these two groups of friends that always, like, I could always manage to get together with and do gaming with. And so one group was playing Star Wars TTRPG, and the other group was playing a Vampire the Masquerade and a
Oh
Ravenloft
yes.
game. And so I got to play all these different games that I did not know at all the entire time of grade 11 and then grade 12 and into university years. We played these Star Wars games and all these other games. Slowly, as it happens, you drift away, find other friends
Right.
at university with different objectives and interests. And then I moved to Japan, and kind of that was the end of ties with the high school gang.
Okay. Well, number one, do we know what the fight was over?
No, I still to this day don't know what the fight was about. I do know the two principal antagonists in the fight were the twins, Justin and Josh and Dennis. And they never really got along super well to begin with, but
Mhm.
apparently it almost came to blows. And when you're nerds sitting around a table,
It's
you know,
pretty
scratching
serious.
pencil to
Yes,
paper, blows is a pretty rare thing to occur. Anyway,
absolutely.
so three guys sided with the twins, and the other five guys sided with Dennis. And I tried to split the difference and be friends with everybody because I wasn't involved in the fight. I did not want to hear about what it was or pick a side. I just was friends with everyone.
I like it. Did they ever make up? That's the second
No,
one.
no,
Oh, it's
to
too
this day.
bad.
To
Okay.
this day. In fact, all
Oh,
of them have slowly dropped off from communication with each other at all. There's a couple
oh.
of guys that still talk to each other, but yeah.
Mhm. And you know, like you were saying, that definitely happens as we grow up and branch out into the world. And then
Yeah.
you said move to Japan.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I so my buddy was like, "Hey, thinking about when I'm done my degree, I'm thinking about going off to Korea or Taiwan or Japan and teaching English." And I was like, "That sounds like a really good idea." And I was finishing my degree around the same time, so I thought we would end up going together. And he got really mad at me for taking his dream, and I'm like, "Can't we just share it? Does it like
Right.
like
It
doesn't I
doesn't
wouldn't
mean you
even end up
don't
at the
have the
same place
dream
as you."
anymore.
Like,
Yeah.
but I was in a 4-year relationship with a girl that I liked but never loved, and I had asked her to marry me because I thought that's what you do after 4 years of dating. Um,
Yep.
and I did not know how to move out of my parents' house and get a place of my own. Whereas this company in Japan, they had an apartment for me and they paid my electrical bill and my heating bill and my internet. Like they paid
It
those
was
bills.
the adult starter pack.
So
It was
it
really the
really
adult
was.
starter
It
pack.
absolutely was the adult
That's
starter pack. It
awesome.
also allowed me to break my engagement because I'm like, oh, I've been gone for so long. I feel like we're drifting apart.
Right.
Sob, sob.
I'm gonna make
Uh,
better life choices now that I have
yeah,
my adult starter pack and realize what I want. Yes.
exactly. So I taught
Yeah.
English in Japan for a year and got away from my folks, got away from my fiance, and then came back to Calgary, and the rest is history.
And then you've been there ever since?
Yeah, there was another girl I more than liked, and she came out and visited me when I was in Japan after I'd broken up with my fiance, and we were
Okay,
just
okay,
really
okay.
good friends. And
Hmm.
then when I came back to Canada, Calgary, I decided I need to pursue this girl.
Hmm.
And now August will be 19 years we've been married. So
Oh, congratulations. That's
it's pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she got a trip to Japan out of it. So everybody
Yes,
won
she
in the
did.
end.
With free room and board and like someone to show her
Yes.
around, order
Yeah, the
food
free
for
tour
her.
guide, right?
It's the best. It's
The
the
heat
best.
was free for her too. It was like
Yeah.
your, ready-made Japanese vacation. So
Yes.
what was your favorite thing about living over in Japan?
My favorite thing about living in Japan.
Hmm.
That was 20 years ago. So you're
It
asked
was
like
20. Don't say
I
like that like it was a long time ago, because I'm
it
sorry, it was.
was I left in September of so I left in August of 2001 um for Japan, and I came back in August of 2002. So it was 21 years ago that I left for Japan. And oh
Oh, you
God,
were
I
over there for
mean,
9/11.
yes, I had been there for 10
Yeah,
days or
yeah.
so, give or take, when 9/11 happened. And honestly, I also did not know 9/11 happened because I didn't have a phone, I didn't have the internet, I didn't have the
Hmm.
newspaper, and I was off for Obon, or there's like a holiday in September. And so I didn't go to work until Tuesday, which is Wednesday or whatever it is back home. And I showed up at work and everyone was sad. And I was like, doo 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 doo.
Hey, what's
And
going
I
on,
see this
Virgo?
newspaper that has like the World Trade Center, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" Huh?
Yeah,
It's a new experience. So yeah,
yeah.
that was a crushing day.
That was
But the best part about Japan, ooh, the
yeah.
food. Yeah, the food.
Okay.
It's an easy answer.
Awesome. It's an easy answer. Is it your favorite thing?
Right now, absolutely. Without killing time, like in a podcast, I could be like, okay,
Mhm.
hold on. And then I would sit and I'd think about it for a couple of seconds. But this is live and people are watching, and
This is
I'll say the
live. We've got
food.
to be entertaining, right?
Exactly. I gotta keep that energy high.
I like it. No, the chat'll get you later. Don't worry. You can go
I hope
back and
so.
answer anything in there. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Trying
Yes,
to
whatever
find a
gets
way
me
to
out of
like
this
watch
question.
you and watch the chat.
Yeah. So I stack the things so I can see them both, and I have a
Oh,
separate window for the questions, and then the questions that I have queued up are actually in a note thing.
okay.
So yeah, it's that ADHD. I've got multiple windows open at all times. It is incredibly amazing. But yeah, it helps. All right. Friend, that is amazing. I'm curious. You came back. What was the hardest thing to adjust back to after being
Oh,
gone for a year?
yeah, commercials.
Oh, tell me about that.
I didn't watch TV except for like the occasional Kazaa or Torrent. Like torrenting didn't exist yet. Kazaa,
Kazaa did.
Morpheus,
Yep.
those existed. And so I
Yes, they
was
did.
watching teeny tiny little videos this big on my screen because those that was all you could really download for like
Mhm.
pull because they were so big. They'd be tiny little screens on my very expensive. I spent $10,000 on a laptop in 2001. I ended up paying for it for like 8 years. Um,
Oh my God, yeah.
yeah, it still works to this day. I think my
Oh, that's really
brother's
good.
son has it, but it's
Wow.
not fast. It's really slow now, right? Comparative to this day, because
Was
it's
it like a
20
whole
years
10
old.
gig?
It was no. This is 2001. There's gigs. You're so funny. Um,
Yeah, my laptop
anyway,
was 10 gig in 2001. Yeah, that's all it
yeah,
had.
no, I think it was
No.
750 megabytes. Yeah,
Oh.
for a hard drive.
Hmm.
Because it was also a laptop.
Hmm.
So best the the hardest thing to come back to was two things. One was commercials because commercials were suddenly these like 15 to 30-second stories that and they're so repetitious. Like a new commercial
Oh
is
yeah.
so rare nowadays or I mean not anymore because now it's everything is streamed. So I think commercials are weird for people now. But back then on network TV, I wasn't watching commercials, so commercials were suddenly really, really loud, really, really in your face, and told a big story. And I had not seen a commercial for over a year, so every single one of them was new for me. It was very, I would like laugh and like turn with rapt attention. And my wife, girlfriend at the time, kept laughing every time the commercials would come on. She's like, "You're more fun to watch than the commercials themselves." Be like so into it. And even to this day, I find commercials much more mesmerizing and interesting than prior to Japan. And then the other thing that was very difficult to get adjusted to was sarcasm. When I came back,
Really?
well, one, Japanese people are not particularly sarcastic. Like that is not a thing. And then teaching people English, you're not teaching sarcasm to people who are learning English. One,
Right.
it can be quite rude to be sarcastic, and
Yeah.
two, it doesn't go over very well. So sarcasm was something that I had resorted to quite a bit when I was in my formative years, and then leaving for Japan, I had to squelch it entirely because it was completely unintelligible. It's all about tone, and you're not even seeing that in Japanese. Like it's one of the last things you learn is tone in English. Um, or a
Yeah.
later level thing you would learn.
Hmm.
And
Very
so yeah,
nuanced.
commercials and sarcasm. And to this day, I am not good with sarcasm. I'm not particularly sarcastic myself any longer, and I
Uh-huh.
don't, or I fail to recognize sarcasm most of the time in others. So
Interesting. But I wonder if that makes things communication a little more direct and palatable because you aren't expecting somebody to be saying the opposite.
exactly, or
Yeah.
saying the opposite, meaning what they just said. It's like,
Right.
oh, is that what you intend? And they're like, no, I'm being sarcastic. Uh,
Right.
apologies.
Right.
I don't quite, I don't
Yeah.
quite work on the, I live on the periphery of sarcasm.
I don't think that's a bad thing at all. That's got to
Yeah.
be a better experience in many, many ways.
Yeah, it means when I say something, you know, cutting and cruel, I'm deliberately being cutting and cruel. Or when I'm saying something kind, it is genuine kindness that is elicited. So
I like that. I like that. I appreciate that your first example in that too was like, no, when I say something cutting and cruel to you, I mean it.
yeah, Dwayne knows.
Poor Dwayne.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God, that
bad.
has got to be
I'm
a
not
brilliant
sarcastic and I
table.
have no filter. So
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. This is the only show where I do have a filter. Everything else, Mark edits.
yeah, that's good. I do my
Yeah,
own editing, so
that's good, right? That is your filter. It's your aftermarket filter.
yep. Like, oh wow, Kyle, could you have said that nicer? Oh, let's just cut everything you just said and make it sound like the player came up with that idea themselves.
Right. We'll say it nicer. It's fine. Oh my gosh. We've got a vote in the chat for I live on the periphery of sarcasm as our new Coruscant Night shirt.
It's a good one. I just finished directing my very first community theater staged show,
Oh,
and
congratulations.
thanks. Yeah, I'm over the moon. It goes back up on
Yeah.
Wednesday, it runs until Saturday, and then it's done. But I finally got to see my vision for 26 people on stage fully realized. The problem is that the cast has a list of about 37 quotes of things I have said that were either inappropriate or inappropriately funny that they would like to read off during the cast party and the strike party post, because they really want to harp on the fact that I don't do sarcasm and I am filter free.
Oh my God, that's the best.
Yeah.
Can we get a copy of those?
I'm sure I will. I will
All
find
right,
that out.
excellent. I am super excited for that. That is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
What was the play?
Okay, so it's Gilbert and Sullivan. Do you know Gilbert and Sullivan? It is the Yeoman of the Guard.
Okay, I don't know that one.
So the Yeoman of the Guard is their serious operetta that doesn't necessarily end happy, where all the people who should be
Ah,
together are together. They are not. It was
interesting.
There was a big fight between Gilbert and Sullivan for all of their years about the fact that Sullivan wanted something that had more reality to it and was more based in what you could expect to see in the real world, and Gilbert, who wanted to have a place where people could go and be happy and be entertained. And Sullivan said
Right.
that's piffle. So they had a huge fight. They almost stopped working together for about a year, and Gilbert said, I've had an idea. I am going to give you what you want. And then he sat down to give Sullivan exactly what he wanted. And so I've tried to put
Interesting.
that on stage in the most beautiful fashion I can and tug at the heartstrings of the audience.
Interesting. Have you gotten any feedback back from it?
It came out on Friday last week. I've heard some good things, that people are really happy with the voices and happy with the whole presentation. The cast is over the moon. One of the great things about community theater is you try to create an environment for a bunch of people who didn't know each other to become friends and then be friends for countless years to come and have made wonderful, beautiful memories together. And so with the mindset of that in my head at the top, I've just tried to build that and foster that the entire time. And yeah, the cast seemed to be very well connected and the audiences are enjoying it. And everybody, I think, is going to have really good memories of this show to last a lifetime.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. What got you into, hmm, first question, what got you into theater?
In 2013, a decade ago, a friend of mine that I was
Don't
in
say
a
a decade
youth choir. Sorry, dude.
ago.
It's a decade ago.
Oh God.
Um, a friend of mine that I was in a youth choir with in 1998. Why was I in a
Wow.
youth choir? There was a girl I liked at university I was taking a psychology class with, and she was in a youth choir, and I wanted to date her. And so we went to she's like, you should come join my youth choir. And I was like, yes, I will. I will come
Okay.
to your youth choir and be near you. And she's like, excellent. And then she went off and found other guys to be in the youth choir too. And I was like, this is not what I thought was happening. And suddenly I'm in a
She
youth choir.
she's a CEO now, I'm going to assume.
Oh my
Running
God,
her own Fortune
she's a
500
youth
company.
choir succubus, right? Like
Yes, or a cult leader.
yeah, you won't get with me, but you will be in my choir. So
Right.
I joined a choir. I met this other person there. And as Facebook hits in 2007, you maintain friendships. Well, my friend from youth choir was then doing the show The Gondoliers, and I mentioned to my wife, hey, my friend is in this show called The Gondoliers. And she's like, The Gondoliers? I'm like, yes. She's like, that's one of my favorite musicals. My parents used to play it for me all the time. Let's go. So we went to this community theater show, and they revealed that the next season was going to be Pirates of Penzance. And she loves that one too, my wife. And so my friend, who was the musical director of Pirates of Penzance, said, you should audition. And I was like, oh, I haven't sung in like 20 years. That's not happening. And she's like, yeah, you should. And I was like, okay, I'll audition. Like, you're so nice. Thanks for remembering me. And then a year rolls around and I get a message from her on a Sunday night and she's like, you didn't audition. And I was like, oh no, sorry. Busy. And I thought, that, you probably have better people than me. She's like, if you missed the auditions, but if you'd like to just be in the chorus, you don't have to audition and you can just join the chorus. I'd love to have you in the show. And I was like,
So she's invited you to
okay.
another choir.
Yeah, well, this is the different friend.
Oh, different friend. Okay. I was like,
yeah, different friend. So Steph was the first friend. This other friend is Winifred. Winifred's like, join this show. It's just a show, Pirates of Penzance. It's not long standing. So I go to my wife and I'm like, I've just been offered to be in the chorus of the Pirates of Penzance. And she's like, my husband, the person I love, in one of the musicals I love the most, this has to happen. I have to see this. You have to be in it. You have to. And I was like, okay. She's like, my mom loves it. She's going to want to see this. You have to be in it for me and my mom. And I was like, okay, now you're setting expectations too high. So I joined the show and never looked back. And I've done 18 community theater productions since 2014 when I was in Pirates. So in the last 9 years, I've done around 2 a year.
So this is your wife's fault.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Your amazing talent.
Yes, she's like, I am a theater widow, which is what they're called for everybody who does community theater, and the wife or the other spouse stays home with the kids. Because over the last decade, I mean, I have an 11-year-old and a 15-year-old now. So when I first started, I had a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. So I owe my wife many things in this life. And one of those things is countless hours of being alone at home with the kids.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. No. It's your children grow up remembering you on the stage.
Yes. That was the other thing too. My dad always played baseball and we did stuff too, but I always remembered my parents did stuff when I was growing up and I didn't want to like just live for my kids to do things like so many of my friends' parents do. Like they don't do anything. They're too busy with their kids' stuff. It's like, that's not really teaching your kids good, good adult habits to like, because then they're just going to do the same thing with their kids. So
self-care, yeah.
Exactly.
Like pursuing your passions, you're not showing your children how to pursue their passions and that they can live a full life. Yeah. I'm there for this.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
well, my
awesome.
kids are in Yeoman of the Guard for a junior version that goes up tomorrow night using the same set as the
There's
show
a
I'm
junior
doing.
version?
Yeah, there's there's such a good community theater company. They've got a junior version because then when they're dark on the Monday and Tuesday of the show weeks, they then have this junior group which uses the same rehearsal space on Saturday mornings. My kids go and learn about Gilbert and Sullivan and how to sing and act and dance and all those other wonderful things.
Oh my God. And then they only have to pay one tech crew to do their sets.
Completely different. Yeah, well, we build the sets and then the kids just get to use it. Yeah, it's great.
Community theater. That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's like, oh yeah. Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. What's your favorite show that you've done?
That I've done was Pirates of Penzance that was performed last year. We gender
Oh,
flipped
okay.
it, which means I rewrote the entire script and score for all of the men's parts to be women in the show and all of the women's parts to be men in the show. So the Major General is a woman and all of her wards are young men. And the pirates are all women. And instead of a pirate king, it's a pirate queen.
I love that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do
And
you have
both my
video
kids
of
are
that?
also in Tubular Teens with Titans. So,
Are they?
yeah, they are.
Oh my God. Wait, who are they?
So Robin is a scientist that I think has
Uh-huh.
been in a couple episodes, but Dwayne could correct me if I'm wrong. And then one of the characters' little brothers is my son Will.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I want to say
I
it's
assume that
Ben's
was all
brother. Is that
Dwayne's
right?
filters.
Dwayne's there. He could answer. He could tell
He
me if
is.
it's Ben or not. I'm not too sure.
He is. He also says you and your clan are all super talented, which is awesome. Do you all game together? I'm curious.
Oh yeah, so Tavern Tales
Uh-huh.
every December breaks away from our adult game to bring you the epic adventures of the Order of the D.
Okay.
Yes. We all play Dragonborn characters and we all go on
Nice.
adventures together. And it all started with Marie Claire as the dungeon master, and then it became Robin as the dungeon master, but Robin was like 9 years old, so that lasted all of like one game, one or three games. And there's not very those recordings did not stand the test of time as Robin got angry and stormed off after 20 minutes. And then now recently I ran a game called Morty's Devils on stream, which was a Dungeons and Dragons game where everybody had to play a tiefling. And Mordenkainen would send these three tieflings out on a mission, much like Charlie's Angels, but Morty's
Uh-huh.
Devils.
Oh, I
And
like it.
I would use TV shows from the 70s, 80s, and 90s as the storyline for the 2 hour or 3 hour game that we would do that night. So they would go through an episode of Charlie's Angels and in a fantastical way, and combat would ensue and whatnot. So we did that for a little while, and then I told all of the players, I'm like, okay, now I've run this game for you, and you've all enjoyed yourselves, and I've worked very hard for this. I am demanding that each one of you run my family through a one shot that I will then put out on Order of the D on our Tavern Tales December feed.
Oh my God, that's
So
amazing.
yeah, so we game together quite a bit. I'm trying to say like
I like that.
maybe we'll break away from Dungeons and Dragons and the Order of the D and go into something Star Wars related for a little while because our family loves Star Wars so very much.
So what got you into Star Wars first? And you said family, so I'm assuming like kids and wife love Star Wars too.
So I thought I loved Star Wars because I liked Star Wars growing up, and then my friends loved Star Wars so much when we were
Mhm.
teens and that we went and stayed overnight to line up for the Phantom Menace tickets.
Yes.
Um, like we were 17th in line, and I was in line for like 28 hours total, and I had to work immediately following that 28 hours. So we bought our tickets and left back in the olden days of standing in lines.
Right. Oh God, no, people don't know how fun that was like
Yeah.
Best Buy, especially for Black Friday.
And I always thought that I was a big Star Wars fan.
Uh-huh.
And then I met my wife.
Uh-huh.
Um, Myself and three other friends, and alongside with my girlfriend, Marie Claire, my wife now at the time, um, we decided we were going to play Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. And my wife's like,
Mhm.
okay, let's play Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. Me versus all of you. And we're like, no, what are you ridiculous? She's like, you don't want to play this with me. And I was like, okay, sure. All right.
Mhm.
We never got a turn. Never. She knew, and this was like early 2000s, 2004, 2005.
So she was
She
a
knew,
book kid too then.
well, the Star Wars Trivial Pursuit game is only about the movies. It's not
Ah,
about the
okay,
expanded
okay.
universe and whatnot. So, and she knows those movies better than anyone I know.
That is
And then
impressive.
in 2000, I want to say it's 2007 that The Force
Mm.
Awakens came out, and that lit
The
a huge fire under her, whatever year that was. She watched that movie nonstop over and over and over again. And then when The Last Jedi came out, well, I had just started podcasting. I'd been podcasting for about a year and a half. I had a whole bunch of
Mhm.
equipment. Things were going really well. And the Dungeons and Dragons podcast was so much fun. And we had like 12 listeners an episode. Yay! I was so
Right.
happy.
December
And
2015. Okay, yeah, I thought so. I was like, was
right,
that 2017? But also it could have been 2007.
Force Awakens 2015. TLJ
2015,
came out in 2018, 3 years later, 2 years later. Anyway,
2018,
um,
yeah.
so TLJ came out,
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
and my wife couldn't stop talking about it. And I was so tired of listening to her talk about the meta themes and the analysis and the story of TLJ. I was like,
Oh my God, I love her.
you need to you need to just like start a podcast or something because I can't take this anymore, honey. And she's like, I will.
And
So
how many thousands of fans does she have?
What the Force has now been listened to over 1 million times. It's over 1 million listens. He's
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
released a couple hundred episodes since it started when TLJ came out. So it's like 4.5 coming up on, maybe it's 5 years old now. I think it's 5.
Oh my
And
God, that's
we just
amazing.
went to Star Wars Celebration in
In
London.
Japan? Oh, in
No,
London. Okay.
in London, because the one in
Okay.
Japan is in 2025, so that'd be far away. Um, yeah, What the Force became a huge thing. She's been to the last 3 celebrations as a media guest.
Oh my God, it's so cool.
Yeah, they pay for her badge there, and she has a panel when she goes there. And her panel was standing room only. The room was 330 people, and I think they packed 350 or 360 people in there. I think
Oh
there were
my
people
God.
that were not able to get in there, and it was, my wife has brilliant purple hair,
Uh-huh.
and so not, I mean, there are people with Star Wars Celebration with brilliant purple hair, so I don't know how many times this happened to the wrong person, but it was getting kind of like, like eye rolling when these shy people would walk up, and it was like gender neutral. Who you did, like, it was both sexes coming up and being like, "Excuse me, are you Marie Claire Gould? What the Force has really changed my life. It helped me get through the pandemic, or it really set." Like all those things that you've heard say about the Critical Role people, like, you helped me get through this thing, being a
Hmm.
voice in my ear, being this person I could listen to, and who shared an opinion that I had that maybe not everybody in that fandom also shared, and you enlightened and opened up a new world of way of thinking for me. And then this summer, it's not even just that anymore. It's not just Star Wars, Sarah Joy. It's like everything. My wife has been invited to be a tele correspondent person, I don't, a telepanelist for this classical studies mythology. I don't remember what it's called, mythology or something like that.
Uh-huh.
There's a big, all these doctorate people in classical studies and myth have a big conference that's happening in August this year, August or September.
Uh-huh.
And they've invited my wife to do a speech, a talk, a panel on how classical myth is viewed in modern storytelling and how it's invoked and involved in storytelling. And I'm like,
100%. Oh my God, that's amazing.
yeah,
And you're like, I have a really cool podcast. It's called Tavern Tales, and
yeah,
it's actually really fun. And our latest season is Friendship is Magic, and everybody should go listen to it.
yeah. The Power of Friendship, starring
Yes. Oh,
Dwayne.
that's right, the Power of Friendship. I got it so confused because I'm listening to it,
Oh, okay.
and it keeps flipping in my head to Friendship is Magic. And I'm like,
That's
this is
because
just
that's
like
My Little Pony.
My Little-
Friendship is magic.
I know, it feels like My Little Ponies to me.
I'm not gonna lie to say that that is not one of my massive inspirations for everything. Is My Little Pony. Friendship is magic, and that I wish that there were 6 players in the game so I could really have all of them. But I mean, let's be real here. Score is just Applejack.
Oh my God, yes, 100%, 100%. Oh, I love that so much. That
Yeah,
makes me very
Vivi
happy.
is Rarity,
Yes.
and Ellis is Pinkie Pie.
Oh.
That's my deep cut for anybody who's listened to any
Oh my
Power of Friendship.
God. Dwayne would like to know if that's a compliment or not.
He hasn't watched he hasn't watched it, and it
Oh
absolutely
my
is because
gosh.
all six of the print of the ponies from uh, Power of Friendship
Yeah.
is sorry, Friendship is Magic are delightful, wonderful, well-rounded
Oh my
characters
God.
that
Yeah.
you can see how their friendship grows, and it's a wonderful show that I definitely believe helped my eldest child become a good person.
Oh my God. That I love that so much. The Friendship is Magic got me through the pandemic.
Oh,
So
really?
yes, I watched it twice. That and Ashes of Love, if no one has seen it.
That's a C drama, isn't that?
It is. Oh yes,
Yeah,
it
no.
is. And it is
Okay, so
brilliant.
that's all my
But
wife watches are C dramas and K dramas, and
oh yeah,
so she would
Alchemy of
love to
Souls.
chat with you about Ashes of Love because she tried to make me watch it. And is that the one about the girl who's an eternal immortal, and then she gets sent down to Earth or
Mhm,
whatever?
mhm,
And there's
mhm,
two brothers. There's
mhm.
the yeah, okay.
Yes,
And I
yes.
was so bored.
Oh my God, how are you bored? That was like one of the best stories that I have ever encountered. It was
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, it's
Yes.
so good.
Kay White's like, whoa, I've heard about What the Force. Yeah, no, What the Force is huge. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like, she has 350 plus patrons on her Patreon,
Oh my
and
God.
yeah, yeah. When
But you
she
know what?
releases stuff, it's big.
This isn't about her. This is about you, Kyle.
Half of me is
We
about my
love
wife,
you.
so
That's fair. That's fair. We're
yeah,
all going to be listening to that now, by the way.
yeah.
So
Everyone should listen to What
I'm
the Force.
excited.
It's
I'm
delightful.
very excited for that.
Yeah.
I too need like a constant voice kind of going, and I've binged all of Critical Role and all of many leadership podcasts and lore and Old Gods of
Yeah.
Appalachia. I need something new.
Well, if you like Star Wars, then you're gonna like What the Force.
You know, it's all right. On a Star Wars podcast, on a Star Wars group, it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. It can just be
Yeah.
okay.
That's sarcasm. I just realized that.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I love it.
I was like, it's fine. You just end up in these places and you're just accepting
You're
of
like,
where you are,
that's
right?
your
Like,
life's weird.
yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. That's the
I thank you for
best.
recognizing and looking at my face and being like, he didn't get that. So,
Yep, yep, yep. One of my very best friends is autistic, and I'll do that to her sometimes, and then I'm like, nope, you don't
yeah.
understand what's going on. Let me be direct here.
Yeah, I
This is
used to
my
recognize
kind of-
sarcasm and now I
Yeah.
don't.
Again, I don't think you're any worse off for it. Really don't. So it's wonderful. We have like 11 minutes
Oh
left,
my.
and I know I'm gonna like keep talking to you for the next 3 hours. You're gonna be one of my part twos. But let's get to some of the actual like chat questions because they are
Sure.
really good and brilliant. Our awesome folks on our wonderful Discord server come up with some amazing questions. We all get to know each other pretty well on the
Absolutely.
chat. So yeah, we want to know more. Ooh, Drunkle Grog has a good one, and I'm not biased towards him at all because he's my brother.
Ah.
If you lived in a world without Star Wars, what would be your go-to sci-fi franchise?
I read that ahead of time. I know my
There you
answer.
go. What's your
It's
answer?
Philip K. Dick's extended sci-fi, near sci-fi related Dickian dystopian future for sure.
Oh, I
So
don't know
circa
anything about
Blade
that.
Runner, circa Minority Report, things like that.
I like it. I like that. Interesting. What draws you to that?
Because Philip K. Dick didn't see sci-fi as a like let's do this cool technology. He's like, if that technology existed, what would the problems be? And then he would focus on that for his story. And I
Mhm.
always think that that's how sci-fi should work. That if you've invented a technology, how will it change society, not just for the good, but for the ill as well. And
Mhm.
so I would want any sort of sci-fi that I was involved in or reading or whatnot to be that. That's where I would go.
Nice. Interesting. Okay. Oh, here we go. Wampa, Nexu, Lothcat, or oh my God, I'm gonna say this wrong. Akle?
Yeah, those. So two of those are the monsters from Attack of the Clones. The Actlay is the carapace bug-like one, the sharp,
Okay,
pointy, the praying mantis style one. The
gotcha.
Nexu is the cat one. That's cute.
Mhm.
It's cute. A loft cat doesn't really fit
Oh,
in
oh, we got a
there.
picture in the chat.
Yeah,
Woo!
there it is. Yeah. And a loft cat's just a tiny little cute guy. Like, who doesn't want a little loft cat in their life? Like, is my buddy.
Very cute.
Um, and the Wampa, of course, is the snow guy from Star Wars number
Yeah.
2. Uh, but can I say the Reek?
Sure, why not?
Because it's not in the list, but like I liked that
There are
one
no rules here.
more. That's the one. Like the
Hmm.
rhino guy with the big, because the
Oh,
Triceratops is my
nice. Yeah.
favorite dinosaur, and he kind of harkens to that. And yeah, I really like him. He's cool.
Yeah. So why is the Triceratops your favorite dinosaur? That is a very important question for me because I
Oh,
love
I have
dinosaurs.
3 younger brothers, and it was kind of the
Mhm.
only one that was left.
What did they take?
I like how you almost spit took on that.
I
Um,
did.
yeah. So when I was growing up, there was a lot of Transformers because I'm an '80s kid, and lots and lots and lots of Transformers. Um,
Yes, yes, I remember well. They
and
also hurt when you step on them.
well, they're so big, you're not going to step on a Transformer. Anyway, that's fine. Like, who knows how big your steps
It's
were when you were a
chaos.
kid?
Yes.
So the Dinobots were a massive thing for us, and so
Mm-hmm.
one of my brothers, I'm going to see if I can remember them all, and chat can correct me because they've got Google and I don't, right? Because here are both hands.
Right,
Um,
right.
so there is Swoop, the pterodactyl, and my youngest brother got that one. There's Grimlock, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. My brother
Okay.
Kurt got that one.
Mhm.
There is Sludge. I really want to say it's Sludge, which is the Brontosaurus. And then there's Slag, and that is the
Yes.
Triceratops.
Yep.
And I got the Triceratops, and it was like 7 years old or so. And so because I got the Triceratops Dinobot, that was my favorite dinosaur. So it just happened to be the case.
I think that's
Is there
legit.
another one? Slag, Sludge,
I think that's it
Grimlock,
because
Swoop. I feel like there's a fifth, and I'm not remembering it, but maybe
I,
chat can throw it up.
yeah, do it, chat. Google it.
Anyway, I am
Got
the
this.
oldest of all of them as well. And so, yeah,
You're the oldest of all of your siblings?
yes, my
Oh,
siblings are all
but
younger than me.
you got the dinosaur last.
I revealed it last, but it was like Christmas gifts. That's how we got them all, and so
Okay.
yeah, that's how that ended up.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay, so your parents have assigned you all dinosaurs.
exactly. Or at least like they're like, let's Santa assigned us all
Well,
dinosaurs.
I mean, obviously Santa,
Yeah,
because Santa knows you deeply.
but Santa worked out because like I liked
Yeah.
my Slag. I liked him. Where's it? Spike? Is there a Stegosaurus? Was the Stegosaurus named Spike? I feel like there's also a
Oh,
Stegosaurus.
there might be a
So,
Stegosaurus because it was pre-Jurassic Park time, and Jurassic
oh,
Park is when the
absolutely.
Velociraptors
It's
gained
pre the
popularity.
Land Before Time.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Yeah.
that. Talk about emotional trauma at a young age. Land Before Time will do it to you. Oh my goodness.
Such.
All right.
But you've talked about that before.
Land Before Time?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know what I've talked about a whole lot better than I have. I'm going to have to, when I
I've
need
watched
to
them
remember
again.
something
I don't
now.
think you've necessarily watched them again.
No, I don't. It is not that I don't enjoy like hearing everybody else. I don't ever want to hear myself again.
Um,
So, it's one of those fun things. Yes. Yes, there was a time before Land Before Time, okay? Fine.
Yep.
Ooh, the
Yep.
cufflinks box. Ooh. We would like to know more about the cufflinks box.
I just have a bunch of cufflinks in a box. It used to
Okay.
have a single tie in it that I got from Christmas from my mom, and then I threw cufflinks in it instead. So,
Nice. Where did the
yeah.
cufflinks come from?
So because I of my job, and because I was teaching in Japan, I wore a lot of dress shirts, and I really liked um, cuff-linked dress shirts. And so for a lot of years there, my wife and other people would get me cufflinks as a gift for Christmas because, like, what do you get someone who buys everything they want, sort of thing. Oh, also, if
Yep.
you can't tell, all of these Funkos are not mine. They are all my wife's Funkos.
They all presents from her massive fans around the globe.
Mostly they are gifts from me to her because we did
Oh,
the
good.
Funko Smuggler's Bounty for about a year and a half, and so a lot of those are from that. But then there's also like a massive Funko collection that occurred in this household. This is not all of them. There is over 120 Funkos on my headboard where I go to sleep every night.
Oh my goodness. What is the, so I don't know a whole lot about Funkos. That was kind of after my collecting time in one of my many purging times. Um, what was the Smuggler's Bounty?
Smuggler's Bounty was a Funko collector's box that would release once a month or once every 45 days or so,
Mhm.
where they would put together a t-shirt and a couple of exclusive Funkos you could only get from the Smuggler's
Okay.
Bounty box. So it's
Yeah.
like a way to, you know,
Subscription
incentivize
service.
collectors. Yep. It was actually
Yeah.
one of the first boxed subscription things. And because it was so
Interesting.
successful,
Uh-huh.
all of these other boxed subscriptions came about as a result.
Interesting. Yeah, I was in on Loot Crate back
Yeah.
when that was a
This
thing
it's
back in the day. Yeah.
before Loot Crate.
Pre-Loot Crate. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh my God, that's awesome. I didn't realize Funko had been around for that long either.
Years. Funko's been around since the 60s.
What? What have they
Yep.
been? Same kind of thing?
No, well, kind of bobbleheads and other collectible things like that. They were a
That
tiny
makes
little
so much
company
sense.
in Everett, Washington,
Uh-huh.
and suddenly in the mid 2000s, I want to say like 2011 or so,
Hmm.
they got the marketing deal with Star Wars for bobblehead Star Wars because Hasbro or one Mattel, I can't remember one of the two, had the contract for action figures, but because bobblehead did figurines did not fit under that, they were able to slide in and started releasing Star Wars things. And then when Disney bought Star Wars, they immediately launched the Marvel side of things and Disney Princess side of things. And yeah, it's a nonstop Funko galore. We've been to the head office in Everett and they've got these giant 20-foot Funkos there. And it's really, really fun, really cool store, kind of like a Disneyland experience, but
Yes.
without the rides, just like all these big, cool Hulkbuster Ironmans and Hulks and whatnot standing
That,
in
like,
this in the aisles. And they're all over the town now too, because it's kind of what put the town on
oh
the
yeah,
map.
totally, totally. I mean, take what you got there.
Yep.
Can't like steal a golf cart and just go for a ride through there. Be like, then there's
That'd
a
be so
ride.
much fun.
Just say, yep, that would be awesome. Ah. I've been corrected on one of my questions. How
Oh.
often do you get to wear cufflinks?
Oh, not so much since I started working from home. Nowadays, I
Mhm.
just wear disc golf jerseys and joggers because I like to step out for lunch and play some disc golf when the weather's nice and when the weather's not nice even. And but when I'm in the office, if I have to go to an annual general meeting for shareholders, I'll put on a dress shirt that has cufflinks.
Nice. I want to know what your favorite pair of cufflinks is.
I, I would just end up describing them for you. I'll throw a picture up later.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect, which incentivizes everybody to come to the server chat, which is
Yeah.
perfect timing because it is 10 p.m. Eastern time. And we've got to wrap it, which I hate to do because I'm having an absolute like blast talking to you. It's super fun. We are gonna have to do a part two for a couple of folks.
Sure. Anytime. We didn't even
Yes.
talk about Star Wars, so
I know. I think Dwayne and I spent a lot of time on like Sailor Moon.
yeah.
So that's
Yes,
how
you
these
did.
go. That's how these go. And
Oh, does
there's
my
like,
family love Sailor Moon?
oh, do they?
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, my
God.
wife can go on about Sailor Moon for hours, hours, not days like she can with Star Wars, but at least
I
an
mean,
exceptionally lengthy
if
amount
she
of time.
wants to make that podcast, I will 100% listen to it.
Oh my God, Ryan Belter has also been like, I would like to have you on for a Sailor Moon podcast. So like the three of you should just get together and talk about
Done.
Sailor Moon for hours at a time. Just as
Done.
long as Marie
I
Claire
can.
doesn't have to edit it, I'm sure she'd be up for it.
I'm 100% here for that. I would love to do my research again and watch all of the Sailor Moons ever. I do own them all. Um, on DVD and VHS.
Oh, and VHS, why?
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 Because you can't get the American stuff anymore. So I had to have Sailor Moon R and S and Super S because you couldn't get them on TV.
Oh, okay.
That's what
Fair.
my money went to when I was a waitress when I was 16.
That's hilarious.
Hmm. Yeah, and I still have it. So
As you should.
yes.
I threw out all of our VHSs when our VHS machine broke. I was
Oh,
like,
like
I'm not gonna be able to
Costco
find
stuff.
another VHS machine, so goodbye VHSs. And that makes me sad because I was on a bunch of kids games, like TV
Oh,
televised children's,
yeah.
those game shows on TV, and I was on
You were
like
on a
three
bunch
of
of
them.
those?
Yeah, I was
Uh-huh.
on 3 kids game shows when I
Oh my
was a little kid.
God.
Yeah,
How did we not touch on that?
because we only had an hour, and I can't talk about my whole life. Yeah.
All right. Oh my God, somebody put a pin in this. We need to know about the game shows. All right. Well, friends, we're going to wrap up. We're actually going to jump on into we have a kind of like behind the mask after the behind the mask show. In the server, we jump over to our general channel and we hang out. So it's going to be lots of good time. If you haven't joined us yet on Nightcast Creative, please do. We are over on Discord. There are multiple podcasts that you can listen to. There's also this wonderful video talk show that you can catch up on as well, like Kyle did. Kyle, thank you so much for being on here. Where can folks find you on the social media, internet, web thing?
So I'm principally on Twitter, so you can check me out at Tavern Tales DM. That's principally where you're gonna be able to find me if you want to follow and chat further about anything I've discussed today. You can find me there. I also put out my weekly podcast, Tavern Tales, my bi-weekly podcast, Tavern Tales Jr., which is me running my children and their friends through Dungeons and Dragons stories. I am also on the currently hiatus Flight Risk, and it's only on hiatus until I finish all of the voice characters for the season that Nemo played alone with Dwayne. And I will be all of the different characters from that season because I said I would do it and then I didn't do it. So I have to get that done. That's on me, not on Dwayne. And then you can also find me as the casting director, vocal director for Thrown Together Studios, which is an audio drama production company. And I do a bunch of cool voices for the audio dramas and the fiction stuff there. Lastly, and you're the first to hear about it,
Okay.
coming out this week is a brand new podcast called On Staging, where I get together with different community theater companies here in Calgary, and I interview the producer, the director, the costume designer, anybody who wants to sit down for about an hour. We talk about an upcoming project that they have going on that they're about to put on stage. I talked to them
amazing.
about why they picked that project. I talked to them about what troubles and difficulties and hardships they went through getting there with that project, what they want audiences to get out of the theater experience that they're showing for putting that project on, what are they excited and proud about. And then I go see the show and I put out a subsequent review of the thing. And I talk about, did they achieve what they set out to achieve? What was great about the show? And what are we looking for from the actors and the performers on stage? And how great was it? Nothing negative or critical in that vein, but always supportive and encouraging, because that's what this is. It's community theater. And I just finished my first interview for it today. It went phenomenally. There was so many wonderful little tidbits. And I'll tell you one thing you never get to do, because you read the director's notes in the playbill, you watch the show, but there's so much more that happened behind the scenes that you're going to want to know about. And I think that this podcast is going to be something interesting to listen to, even if you can't necessarily see the show.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of my best friends is super into community theater. She was a theater major. I'm gonna send that to her.
Cool.
That is amazing. Last question. When do you sleep?
Uh, about 7 hours a night, from like
Okay.
1 a.m. to 8 a.m. Then I get up and work.
Pretty good. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things done during the day too. That's amazing. All right, friends, we are going to bid you adieu. Thanks always to my wonderful, magical behind the scenes Andrew, who makes this possible because I cannot stream and pay attention to this at the same time.
The best thing in the world is to have a producer behind the scenes helping out with all the
I
work.
know,
And
right?
you are so fortunate to have somebody like Andrew in your life.
I am so lucky because I would not do this otherwise. So both Andrew and like Mark for giving this a platform and a voice and trusting me to actually talk to people. So that's good. But thank you all, friends. We will see you next time. Next time, I believe we're talking to Seppi in June. So until then, now we're going to smile and wave. See you all later.